Today, we are joined by Dr. Jonathan Mike. He is a seasoned expert in exercise science and sports performance. Jonathan holds his PhD in exercise science and several top certifications highlighting performance. He also is a background in strength and conditioning, personal training, weight lifting, and corrective therapy with extensive expertise in as a sports performance coach. Jonathan has cultivated a prominent online presence, which we'll talk about on this episode, and he contributes to major fitness and strength platforms. He's been a key figure with the NSCA, offering expertise globally and delivering over 120 presentations at prestigious events such as IDEA World and many others. So I am super excited to have you on the show today, Dr. Mike. Welcome to the IDEAfit Pro Show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Super excited.
Super excited. So today we are going to start with, I want to tell the audience more about your background because I remember the first time you were introduced to the IDEA community and you had such an overwhelming positive response from our attendees at the events you spoke at. And I know you've been really mentoring and guiding a lot of the primarily strength and conditioning experts with the expertise you bring. So I'd love to just tell the audience, talk to us about your background, your role as a professor, a coach, a writer, all of the things that you're up to and how you got here.
Sure. I'll try to keep it brief, but yeah, the vast majority of my background, at least starting out, you just mentioned, a few seconds ago, my PhD is in exercise and sports science. And I actually went to the University of New Mexico, which my doctorate mentor was someone that you know very well, is Dr. Lynn Kravitz. He was certainly a very key influential figure in my life for several years, and he's been a key influential figure for many others. But even before then, I was a strength and conditioning coach at two Division I schools. I was at WKU, and then I did a short-term stint at University of Louisville, and work with, baseball, softball, track, and swimming, some women's sports. And then obviously through my doctorate years. And then post PhD, I was a full-time professor at Lindenwood University for 2 years. It's on the west side of St. Louis. I taught undergrad and grad courses there and a bunch of publications. Then I was a visiting professor at University of Southern Mississippi for a year, taught undergrad and grad level courses, strength and conditioning, sport nutrition. And then I was out here in Phoenix at Grand Canyon University for 5 years, just teaching undergrad. And really throughout that time, even during my doctorate years, started doing some writing or publications, in the fitness magazine space, did a lot, in that area. And then certainly kind of matriculated further into the years I was, teaching. And then speaking started really happening. It actually started with NSCA in 2013. So I can say from 2013 up until really, I think at the end of this year, I think I'm going to pull 150 talks over the last 12 years. It's funny because my goal was 50 within the first 10 years, and I think I got about 80 to 85. So yeah, book chapters, lots of podcasts the last several years. I really enjoy bringing continuing education value to, lots of organizations, and obviously IDEA included. And I remember this was actually before you came along, but my first IDEA 2 talks were at East and West, and this was in 2016. And obviously, West is no longer around. And I did East again a couple years ago in DC. Then my first IDEA World was 22, 23, and then a couple of the IDEA ACSM stuff. So I have since transitioned out of academia, and now I have kind of my own, business that I've started, and it's picking up a lot with the speaking. Now we're offering and coaching and consulting services for, trainers and educational services. We do have an online course available, and now we're starting to do some in-person courses for CEU approval, as well. So and I've also done a lot of international things. I did a full course in Singapore. I've been at Asia Fitness Conference in Bangkok, Thailand. We did IDEA Korea last year. Hopefully we'll go back again this year. So yeah, we're doing a lot, and I really enjoy doing what I feel like I've been called to really do, and not just continue to bring education value, but get people on board and get them at a higher level of authenticity, credibility, and just kind of getting them up to par to what's going on in the industry career wise, and allow them to feel that they can have higher levels of contribution.
Yeah. You know what I love about your story is you found different places to impact audiences, whether it was at the university you were at or the teams you worked with. And then you realized that you could have so much bigger impact and that speaking allowed you to do that. And now you've taken that to a whole different level by starting your own business whereby people can access your materials and your education at any time online or in person. So I think for anyone who's listening who aspires to have bigger impact and reach more people, wow, you've laid out a pretty incredible blueprint for someone to follow.
Yeah, thanks. It's certainly not easy. I mean, it has a lot of peaks and valleys, a lot of trials and tribulations. But I think one of the really key things that for those that are listening and will be listening to this is not just finding like the right path, but being able to just adapt and innovate, and be creative and like evolve like over time. I mean, the industry has evolved really just since COVID, and you have to really evolve and adapt with it. There's so many things that change on a yearly basis, or even a course of like a 3 to 5 year time span. So you have to be able to harness that and just put yourself in that and just kind of evolve and adapt over time, but with yourself personally and professionally, and understand how to really navigate through the system, and try to do so very well.
I love it. And by the way, you did mention Dr. Kravitz, and he is absolutely an idea fave all the way back to our very, very roots. So I love that you mentored and originally worked under him. That's fantastic. Okay, so I want to pivot a little bit and talk about your Instagram following. Hello, it's almost 69,000 followers. Is that right?
I think we're about 50K. So that's I've probably been the most inconsistent with new content the last few months, but just because I've had other things going on, and traveling and stuff. So yeah, it's something that just kind of built from scratch over the last like 5 years. And I mean, it's a pretty decent following, but I definitely like to move it up, a lot, the rest of this year and beyond. So I don't really have a limit. I mean, I would love to get to 75, 100K. So, and beyond. But yeah, it's something that I spend a lot of time with, and I think social media has such a profound impact on just the industry on the whole. I mean, it's something that people go to. It's like, okay, if you can't find enough online, we'll go to their social. A lot of young individuals, younger generations are obviously using social to, increase aspects of their business, get attention, get reach, and something that I just it cannot be overlooked. And I encourage anybody to spend a lot of time with it, and create something that is more, niche, in a sense, and like kind of like who do you go to for like certain things and that type of thing. But yeah, it's something that I've spent a lot of time with, and certainly proud of it, what we've achieved so far.
Well, and also I think influencers get a bad rap because many of them don't have credentials and they're not experts in their field and they have no business telling people how to move their bodies safely. However, you have all the credentials and all the expertise, and you are now, I mean, I know you want to be bigger, but that's a really big number compared to most of us listening. So you're an influencer in the space, but you also have the credentials to back it up. And I just love, like, I would point to you as an example for other fit pros who really, we don't need to poo-poo the influence that social media can have. It's an incredibly powerful tool. And when we find experts who are legit, we want to make sure to really point to those and encourage other people to learn from those experts.
Yeah, totally. And it's something that, again, you have to study, enough times. It's not you just posting content. I mean, and the thing is, like, it's not yes, it is the content in and of itself, but it's how it's presented. Okay, you have to grab attention within the first 3 to 5 seconds. You have to keep attention. Certain accounts, like I mean, I just kind of laugh. Like I wish I could be one of those accounts. I could literally just take screenshots of like your threads or like your X, Twitter, and just post them on there. And like that is super easy. I mean, I sort of envy people who are able to do that and do it really well and have big followings. Like that doesn't work for me. So I have to spend even more time, going through the educational, stuff, and whether it's myth busting, whether it's, core, whether it's rotational power things, or, just things like what are people really missing, and deliver the message that is impactful, and somewhat memorable with, sprinkles of entertainment. Like it's a lot of work, so whoever wants to do it, like it is a full-time job.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you're doing it very well, and I know you said you took a little lapse, but you'll bring it back. You'll get it going. So, okay, so let's chat about 2025 Idea World because it's coming up, and I know you have a couple of sessions at the event that we want to spotlight. People can hear about, learn more about what it is you'll be teaching. Um, so why don't you start? I did see two sessions on Saturday. Is that accurate? Saturday the 19th. Okay. So tell our audience what it is you're going to be teaching at Idea World.
So at this year's Idea World, we have two sessions, and they're both lectures. And the first one, or not in any order, but the one of them, which I think is people are going to get really excited about, is like the truth about string training for women, actually. And it's always like one of these sort of hot yet semi-controversial topics. Although I don't really see anything controversial about it because it's really just more like truth. I mean, what is controversial about women who actually really need the string training? There's really nothing. It's only controversial if you try to make it, that way, filled with, unnecessary, silliness and, garbage information. So we're going to be talking about highlights of string training for women. We'll go over some of the health data and stats, like overall health data and stats, and then kind of transition that to specifically for women. What are some of the main risk factors for women when it comes to both lifespan and even health and all that type of stuff. We'll talk about kind of debunk myths and then talk about truths. I do show, like, if you ever see me speak at all, whether it's hands-on or even lectures, I always try to integrate both the science and then demonstrate and show some of the like real world practical solutions, like with videos. This could be movements, whatever. So we're going to talk about show you some real world practical, videos, especially when it comes to the older populations, for strength training, because in a lot of ways it's actually more important, and there's really never too late to really start. So we're going to go over that, and we're going to talk about how individuals can be a lot more informed and create a more effective approach for coaching and training for women.
I love it. And then what is the second session? Tell us about that one.
And then the second session is actually benefits of eccentric training. We're going to talk about some upgraded things, for eccentric training. And the vast majority of people think it's just very straightforward, like it's black and white. Oh, I just, come down slower with my bicep curls or come down slower with my bench press. Like that's barely the tip of the iceberg. And so I think a lot of people really get confused with, there's different types of eccentric methods. So we're going to go over that. There's also differences between eccentric duration and eccentric overload because they're not the same thing. So we're going to go through a little bit more of the science and some of the mechanisms involved with which, like, how does somebody actually get strong by doing eccentric, not just movements, but what are some strategies and tactics to actually gain a higher level of eccentric, both duration and overload, and what transfers the best. And then obviously we're going to show some different movements that correspond to the eccentric output performance.
That's fantastic. Now, I've heard you speak, and I know you do a lot of demos. You bring a lot of students up. So I know it's really important to you that people understand how to apply the knowledge. Are there other teaching styles that you've adopted or that you think are really that people learn better from that you've been able to implement?
Yeah, there are. And it's something like that I've alluded to a few minutes ago. Like even though I've done a lot in the industry, like I've always feel like I'm a student of the game. Like, what is it that I can do better like next time? Okay, this was good, but let's try this. And sometimes I try different things and I feel like that they work well, then we'll implement it, for the subsequent sessions. There hasn't really been a whole lot that I tried that hasn't worked, but one of the things that I like doing, and I just actually gave a virtual talk for FBA Succeed, which actually came out today. I did get some good feedback on it. And I like starting out with, questions like for the audience and just kind of get some basic, overall feedback. But one of the things I have started to really do with my talks, and again, it kind of depends on the type of talk, could be lecture or hands-on, but even like the title of it is getting people to change their perspective on getting out of the traditional like status quo of training and start really challenging that status quo with some different like critical and analytical ways to really do things. And you see this actually more in a lot of companies and corporations now, because in the business world things move like really fast and you have to like make decisions, and sometimes those decisions are good, sometimes there's like they might not be so good, but nonetheless you still have to make a decision. But getting individuals and coaches and trainers to start migrating away from the traditional aspects of training. And I don't say that in a bad way, because like there are so many fundamental aspects and components of training that work and still work. But okay, what if we just try things like this way? Okay. Getting out of that simple and just the traditional status quo and start really challenging a different framework with which things really operate. So that's something that I've started to really implement as well. And it what it does is, yes, it gets people just to think differently, but it just provides a new, more like a thought-provoking approach, and therefore they can continue to execute and apply within themselves and even the people that they work with.
I love that. And we're one of the things we love about Idea World is that you can attend the event and you have strategies or techniques or learnings that you can implement first thing on Monday with your clients. And that's what's so great about the event. But also I would add with your teaching style is because you take that extra care with your class to help people really learn and understand the content and how to apply it, then they become better coaches and teachers themselves, and they can apply it right away with their clients. So I love that you're taking great care in being a better teacher to teachers and coaches to
Yeah.
coaches.
Yeah, and one of the things that I mentioned on actually this virtual talk that came out today was, especially like in the communication process when you're taking coaches and trainers and communicating even with yourself, we spend a lot of time on like commands in a sense, or like, okay, uh, do it this way, or like squeeze your glutes, or contract your lats, like that type of stuff. That's more like those commands in a sense. And a better way, I would say more effective way, is instead of just using commands, start asking like more effective questions. Like, okay, how was the range of motion? Like, did you feel any type of restriction here? Like, yes or no? What is it about the setup that you liked? How about we just change this? So like you're getting some real-time feedback from individuals, and then you can obviously adjust. That's just really a small example, and the same thing happens in business as well. Like you have to be able to really like pivot, instead of, again, challenging the traditional thought process. So I think individuals would be pretty excited about these talks coming up at
Yeah.
Idea World.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm excited. And Saturday is always the day I get to actually attend sessions. So I hope that I can pop in and hear you speak. Okay. So now you have attended conferences all over the world and you've been a speaker, you've been an attendee. Why, when you think about Idea World in comparison to all the events that you've attended, why is it a must attend for Fit Pros? Like what stands out at this event?
I think in my experience with Idea World the last several years is there's a lot of excitement, and people like they love going there, they love being there. Like it is a high level community. There's a high level of just like camaraderie and especially support among really everybody. And those have been my successes there, just from what I see and what I observe. It's one of those, like, there's always like higher levels of energy, unlike many other events inside or outside the industry. Like there might be a lot of people there, but just the energy is like really low, and the vibe is not all that great. So I would say in my experiences that Idea World has always had a higher level of vibe and energy, and people know each other. They want to go to specific talks. They want to engage, with the audience. The audience members want to engage, with the speakers. The parties are great. The food's pretty awesome. So yeah, I mean, those are some methods and ways that people should definitely attend.
I love that. So thank you for all the information that you shared and that you will share. And we're so excited to have you back at Idea World again this year. I want to remind the listeners that if the sooner you register, the sooner you can choose your sessions. And Dr. Mike's sessions are going to fill up. There's not going to be a seat left in the room, I'm pretty sure, because they usually do. So you've got to go in and register now. And then after you register, and by the way, early bird discount is still going on. So you get a discount, you get registered, and then make sure to sign up for Dr. Mike's sessions offered on Saturday, the 19th. You can do that now. The program has been released. And then the other cool thing about you specifically, Dr. Mike, is I know you are so accessible. And at the event, you are at all the networking, you are at all of the things. You're so eager to meet the attendees and visit with people as you're walking around and get your pictures with them, and they could be seen on your IG. So yeah, so you're so accessible. So for people who come, they're going to get a chance to just have personal time with you outside of the sessions as well, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always felt like being accessible, like there's nothing bad that can really occur from being accessible, and that's why people come. It's all about, filling the seats and, the attendees and giving them, both what they want, what they need, and just having them walk away with a higher, I want attendees to always walk away with more than what they feel like they came in with. If you're able to put smiles on people's faces, make them laugh, entertain, and educate, then we've all done our jobs.
That's right. That's right. So in our show notes for today, we'll give you all the Idea World info, but we're also going to give you all the info. If you are already a fan of Dr. Mike, you can go to his website, check out the programs, courses that he's got available. I believe we have some of your courses on ideafit.com as well, or some of your past lectures, articles. Have you written for the journal?
I have actually. And I tell you, I've done 4 or 5 over the years, but I think the last one I did was 2016. So it's been a while. So.
It's been a minute. We got to get you
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, we got to do it again. We got to do it again.
Yeah. So if you're on ideafit.com, just search for Dr. Mike and it will pull up all of the stuff that he's presented that we have recorded on the website. But we hope that you come to Idea World and meet Dr. Mike in person. Take advantage of these 2 great sessions. He not only is a great presenter, but he always brings great insights and research and just has a great teaching style, which I hope we articulated properly on this episode. So where can listeners find you? And we'll put it in the notes as well, but where can people find you and get your info?
Sure. I am on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I do have YouTube, even though it's not a lot on there, but Dr. J Mike, DRJMIKE. My biggest following obviously for right now is Instagram, but if you send me an email or a DM on any platform, I always respond, whether it's a text or like a voice message. We are in the process of creating a brand new website, which should be done at the end of the month. I'm really excited about that. And that will have a lot more information on there for, all kinds of individuals. So, but yeah, really excited about that. And yeah, look forward to the summer.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And we are here at IDEA, where fitness is our business. Goodbye.
Yeah.